What lies in the plains? The sun had barely risen when Jack stumbled downstairs, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. The scent of bacon filled the air as he sat at the table, shoveling food into his mouth while his parents sipped coffee. "Got a long list for you today," his father Trevor said, sliding a worn-out notepad toward him. Jack groaned, but took it without protest. That was life on the ranch, endless chores across their 20-acre spread, with nothing but the empty plains and the dark forest stretching behind them. Jack spent the day repairing fences, feeding the animals, and hauling firewood. By the time dusk rolled in, exhaustion had settled deep in his bones. Inside, the warmth of the house welcomed him, and he sat down to dinner with his parents, laughter filling the small kitchen. As they finished up, Jack's mother suddenly smacked her forehead. "Oh, I left the lantern in the barn. Jack, could you grab it?" Jack sighed but nodded. As he stood, his father smirked. "Watch out for the Wendigo." Jack rolled his eyes. His dad loved telling old legends, trying to spook him, but he wasn't a kid anymore. Outside, the night was thick and heavy. The barn loomed ahead, bathed in darkness. His flashlight's beam barely cutting through it. The air was still, too still. Not a single cricket chirped, not a whisper of wind. Inside, he grabbed the lantern quickly, ready to get back. But as he turned toward the door, a sickening feeling crawled up his spine. Then he heard it, a low, drawn-out groan, somewhere behind the barn. It was distant, but getting closer. Jack's breath hitched. He knew the sounds of the land, coyotes, owls, even the occasional mountain lion. But this wasn't right. Panic took hold and he bolted, sprinting toward the house, heart hammering. He didn't stop until he slammed into the front door, throwing it open. His mother turned, startled. "Jack, what's wrong?" He barely got the words out, explaining the sound, the feeling. His mother's face paled, and she called out, "Trevor!" His father appeared, brow furrowed. Jack repeated himself, but his father only scoffed. "It's probably just a coyote." Jack shook his head. "No, it wasn't. It didn't sound like anything I've ever heard." Before his father could respond, a scream shattered the night. It wasn't human, it wasn't animal, it was something in between, something wet and shrill and wrong. The house fell into silence, thick with dread. Trevor turned to Jack. "Did you close the barn door?" Jack swallowed hard. "No, I ran." His father's expression darkened. "Damn it, they're in the barn." Without another word, he grabbed his shotgun from the wall, whistled for Kane, the family dog, and marched outside. Jack and his mother stood frozen as they watched from the window. Trevor reached the barn, stepping inside. Silence. Then boom! A shotgun blast, then another. Kane's barks turned frantic, snapping and growling between shots. More gunshots. Then a high-pitched, agonized whimper coming from Kane. Jack flinched. His stomach twisted. Trevor's voice bellowed from the barn. Then another shot. Then a sound that made Jack's blood run cold. A scream. It wasn't his father's voice. It wasn't Kane's. It was something else. Then silence. Jack could barely breathe. His mother grabbed the phone. "I'm calling the law," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Stay here." She hurried into the other room, leaving Jack standing frozen by the window, his eyes locked onto the barn. The door stood open now. A shadow moved just inside. Something or someone stepped forward. For a moment, Jack's breath hitched in his throat as a silhouette appeared in the barn doorway. It was only there for a second, just a flicker of movement before it vanished into the night. His stomach clenched. He stepped out onto the porch, curiously peering into the night. He calls out for his father. "Dad?" He can barely get the word out of his mouth. No response, just more silence. Then came the sound, footsteps. Fast, sprinting toward the house. Jack stumbled back. He rushes into the house. "Mom!" he screamed. He barely had time to react before something slammed into the porch, the wooden planks groaning under its weight. The front door shuddered as a pounding fist, no, something heavier, began hammering against it. Thud, thud, thud. Each impact rattled the walls. Jack threw himself against the door, pressing his weight against it. But whatever was outside was strong, too strong. Then the pounding stopped. The silence was worse. Jack held his breath, every muscle in his body locked in place. Then his mother came running back into the room. "The sheriff isn't answering." She stopped mid-sentence, her face drained of all color. Jack followed her gaze. Through the living room window, a face stared back at them. His father, or at least what was left of him. Trevor's face was smeared with blood, his lower jaw missing. His mouth was just an open, gaping wound, teeth and tendon, exposed. His eyes were wrong, vacant, unfocused, yet somehow aware. Jack screamed. His mother did too. Trevor's head snapped unnaturally to the side, his gaze locking onto Jack. Then, in a grotesque, jerking motion, he clawed at the window frame. Glass shattered, and within seconds he was pulling himself inside. "Run!" his mother shrieked, shoving Jack toward the stairs. Jack bolted, taking the steps two at a time. His mother was right behind him. But then Jack hears a scream. Jack turned back just in time to see his mother being yanked down, Trevor's bloody hands tearing into her. She shrieked in agony as he slashed at her face, his fingers digging deep. "Pulling, run, Jack," she sobbed. Jack ran. He reached his bedroom, slammed the door shut, and dove under his bed. He pressed his hands over his mouth, forcing himself to stay silent. His mother's screams didn't last long. Then came the footsteps, slow, dragging, moving down the hallway. They stopped just outside his door. Jack squeezed his eyes shut, his heart hammering so loudly he was sure whoever, or whatever, was outside could hear it. Silence. The footsteps walk away. He sobbed in silence, waiting for something to happen. Should he run? Should he keep hiding? Thoughts ran through his mind but were quickly interrupted by a voice. It was his mother, she whispered from outside the door. "Jack." "It's okay, sweetie, you can come out now the monster's gone." Relief flooded Jack's body. He gets out from under his bed and walks over to the door. He begins to open it. His face drops in terror. His parents, both standing so tall and menacingly in the doorway. As if time is moving in slow motion, he looks at both of their faces. His father's, which is completely covered in clotting blood, his lower jaw missing, something out of a horror movie. His mother had deep slashes across her face and portion of her left eye missing from the attack. They stand there staring at him. Both had one thing in common. The stare. Empty, vacant, but yet piercing and focused on him. Then in an instant they pounce. Jack barely has time to scream before they're on him. His father's cold, bloody fingers clamp around his throat, forcing him backward. His mother's nails, no, claws, tear into his arms as he struggles, the warmth of his own blood soaking his shirt. His vision blurs, but he can still see their eyes. Empty, unfeeling, and yet filled with hunger. "Mom, Dad, please!" He thrashes, kicks, fights, but it's useless. Their strength is inhuman. His mother's mouth, torn and wrong, stretches wide as she leans in. "Sweetie," she coos, her voice garbled and wet. Then darkness. The house is silent once more. If you like this story, please be sure to like, comment, and follow for more.